Oh,
Hey Robert, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. Thanks for coming on today. I'm grateful
Oh,
that I get to be part of this time for you. So thank you. Thanks for having me.
oh, you're welcome, buddy. So, how you doing? It's good.
I'm,
No, okay.
I'm
So this is me. This is me, Krishna from India, from the eastern part of India. Can you hear me? Can you hear
yes,
me
I
loud?
can hear you well. Yes.
Okay. So, why don't we just talk about something which is happening around the world? The
Okay.
war between Russia and Ukraine, monkeypox, and so many things, right? We don't have
Of
enough minutes.
course.
Like this app doesn't allow to speak more than 15 minutes because I've taken, the 15-minute subscription. All right.
I see. Okay.
So, yeah, I'm asking you a question. What do you think about don't you, like the war between Russia and Ukraine? That's been,
Yes.
uh, it's been taking place, occurring, happening for almost uh, few months, right?
Yes.
So, so what do you think about it? What is the reason? What is the reason behind the war? Why Russia? Why did Russia invade Ukraine?
Well, there's a lot of it's a very good question, and then there's a lot of different reasons for that. One reason would be because Ukraine is has a lot of rich resources, gas, oil on the Black Sea. Ukraine is the breadbasket of Europe, which means is that they have the most fertile soil in all of Europe, and they can grow twice or three times as much as wheat. And compared to other EU countries, European countries, and a lot of that, all of these wheat products, all of this agriculture, Ukraine, makes profit and sends to a lot of Middle East countries, where they can use and all of those exports that are exported from Ukraine to feed those countries. And it's very crucial and important because those countries are very dependent on Ukraine's agricultural wheat exports for them to feed their populations. And so Russia, wants to invade. I mean, of course, Putin wants to bring back, the Soviet Empire, this that used to belong to Russia, to all of these, he wants to have access to all of those resources that Ukraine has. And so, no doubtedly, that is like probably the main reason, because he wants to have access to those natural resources, oil, being able to not have a competitor like Ukraine that would be able to, make profits out of those natural resources. So that's like, I guess, the main reason
Yeah, like
why.
you've spoken lots of things about about the war, this country Ukraine has so many resources. But what I know that, like, whenever a country, a powerful country, tries to colonize another country, there are some reasons, like resources, right,
Yes,
minerals,
yes,
and the land, the territory, so that when they are able to colonize that country,
yes,
they're gonna rule over that country, right? And
yes,
they will have enough power to to control over the people, and they can do rest of the things that whatever they want. But all I know about this, that this country Ukraine, the Russia. I mean, Russia is, you know, um, Russians. The president of Russia wants to take control over Ukraine because he thinks that this is the part of our country. Like, these two
yeah,
countries are in Europe, right? So
yes,
Ukraine, I heard. Well, I've heard from people, and I watch a lot of news from CNN, BBC. So I came to know about this country, Ukraine, wanted to become the part of NATO organization,
yes,
North Atlantic Treaty Organization,
yes,
an international organization where they can get the power from different countries, power and support.
Yes.
But now whatever the thing is happening, it's not good. It's ethically not good. It's wrong, right?
Of
So the
course.
country, like, what happens in a war? People die, right?
Yes.
And you can never live. I mean, you can never expect something's good gonna happen,
Of
right?
course.
Bloodshed and mass killing or murdering. Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Of course.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So people are gonna die, bloodshed, or and you're investing money on war, and you're gonna lose the money. Who knows who's gonna win?
Yeah.
Some people were saying Russia is gonna win this battle, and some people were saying Ukraine's gonna win the battle. But nobody here can tell that who's gonna win, because Ukraine is also getting support from other nations
Yes.
like the UK, the US, your country. So I don't know. Nobody knows when it is gonna over this war, but it should have ended by now. They should
Yes.
have negotiated. They should have
Yes.
negotiated. It would be better for the humanity, for the citizens, because
Yes.
some people from the Ukraine, they've fled to the other countries, their neighboring
Yes.
countries like Poland, and
Yes.
they've been facing lots of difficulties, situations. Because
Yes.
people should know, the political leaders, the presidents should know that they're gonna face the different circumstances. But look at this guy, the president of Ukraine, Zelensky. He didn't well, he didn't even kneel before Vladimir Putin, and that's good because it shows that you, as a king, you should protect, you should defend your country. You should never bow your head before someone who's trying to invade in your country. And this is what I can tell you. But it's good. We can learn lots of things from the war, like what are the things that we should do, and what should we do if I mean, it's if the invaders invade in our country, right?
Yes, definitely. You've brought up a lot of great points and a lot of things that I agree with you completely, especially at the end when you talked about like how Zelensky is gonna become like, if he does, his life gets taken away, he's gonna be this martyr, this stamp of Ukraine
I
that
think I
Ukrainians are
think
going.
he's one of the youngest presidents in the world. Look,
Yeah,
he looks so young. He looks
he,
36 years old. He
he
was a
looks good.
comedian. He was a comedian. He was a TV actor. He would work
Yes.
somewhere in some TV, on some TV shows.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know that he was an actor, and he played a role in this like comedy series, Ukrainian comedy series. But I do believe it's very fascinating when you look at the history of Ukraine. I mean, before 1990, Ukraine was part of Russia for centuries, and it's one of those countries in Europe that never really had their own empires. They had like the Kievan Rus, which was kind of a civilization that was mixed with Slavic people, Russians, Ukrainians, um, Poles. And throughout most of the 20th century, it was, part of the Soviet Union. And Ukraine, in recent years, have become more resistant to Russia and has become more starting to align with the West. And I think that this alignment with the West, motives that they want to join the EU, I can understand that they are official candidate for the EU membership. And I think that that has definitely driven, Putin and as this threat that they want to, leave the East, and they want to be able to become more West, more aligned with the West. And so the thing is that Ukraine has been their own separate identity, their Ukrainian identity for about 30 years, more than 30 years since the Soviet Union collapsed. And so I think that the recent years that I've observed and seen across the news, that Ukraine has become more progressive than it has ever been throughout its history. In fact, 30 years of, their own Ukrainian identity, since they were always a part of, the lands that they were part of Russia. They were, they didn't really had like a Ukrainian empire in the last millennia, such as compared
Yeah.
to Germany, France, where they had, England, where they had
But
their own. And
Russia thinks that Ukraine is their their territory, right?
yes,
And
exactly.
they want to rule over they want to rule over Ukraine so that they
Yes,
can gain the resources and people power, like the military power, right?
yes.
So that's the reason. I mean, yeah, I don't even know about the history of Ukraine so much. Probably not. I cannot tell you, but I know about Soviet Union. It was a kind of military organization of Russia, I guess.
So the Soviet Union was basically influenced on like the economy type. They were in favor of communism. It was a state of communism. It was a union between so many different states that have
Oh, so the word union
yes,
stands. So
yeah,
it has a meaning. Union means
yes.
two nations are united,
Yes,
right?
exactly. And it was basically a mechanism, with the Cold War that, the Soviets, were against capitalism, they were against the West, and they were like, our system of communism is better, everybody else is, the capitalism, it's evil, that's what their insight was, and they, saw that
So
happen.
what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? What's gonna happen now? What's gonna happen next? Like the war, nobody knows when it's gonna over, right?
Of
So
course.
it has to be, it has to be ended by now because you see, look at the situation that people of Ukraine are fleeing to other different nations, like their
Yes.
neighboring countries. Poland. Well, I've got some friends from different countries, so I talk with them every now and then. They tell me like, okay, so this should have ended by now,
Yeah.
and the world, there are international organizations where they should have, negotiate, deal with these two presidents, right?
Yes. Well, my parents are from Poland, so I could actually tell you a lot more about the situation in Poland. But of course, I'm going to try to stay consistent with the time being. But realistically, to answer your question, when you ask me, what I think personally about the war, I recently stumbled upon an article, a news article. I forgot what source it was, but it was about, this Russian diplomat. There was like some leakage that the Russian diplomat said that there is no there's no plan to end the invasion, and not a plan to end the war. And I actually stumbled upon that article.
Don't you think that in this battle, Russia is trying to show his power?
Of
Yeah,
course, I
because
agree. Of
Russia has a veto power, right?
course,
And
yes,
of course, there is no room for doubt that this country, Russia, is one of the powerful countries in the world. But
it's a
this
nuclear
time,
power. Yeah,
whatever is happening, the war between Russia and Ukraine, or Russia is trying to do here is he's trying to demonstrate his power to the world that look, we are so powerful. Well, that's not good. Like you're killing innocent people. You should have understood by now. Like
yeah,
I'm not against any nation because if I say this, people would now criticize me.
yeah, yeah. I understand where you're coming from.
I'm not talking on behalf of any political, you know, uh, agenda or anything, whatever you
Yeah,
can call
yeah.
leaders.
Um, but to answer your question, realistically, I think that this war is gonna
By the way, we are
last.
running out of time. We are running out of time
Yeah, let me quickly answer your question.
within
Realistically,
5 seconds.
realistically speaking, I think that this war is going to last for years. It's not going to end, anytime soon. That's just my personal uh, outlook on perspective on this. So
Bye. Take care,
you too. Bye.
Robert.
Great talking to you.
It was really nice talking to you, by the way.
I hope we can talk again soon. That was fun.